Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hunger for Justice series. This is episode 7, The Reality of Sankofa, with Kamal Bell, joined by Kamoni King. Just to quickly go over some general housekeeping as people are joining in, the chat box is going to be populated with links throughout the show, including a public resource link to access information, articles, and videos about Sankofa Farms. In the last 10 minutes of the session, we'll take community questions. Please submit your questions in the Q&A box before then. Unfortunately, we won't be able to answer every question, but we'll do our best to gather the questions and answer them and upload them to a public resource folder that we will be sharing in the chat. Please note this session is being recorded and will be uploaded for public viewing on the AGC YouTube channel. A Growing Culture is a nonprofit organization advancing a culture of farmer autonomy and agroecological innovation. We thank you for joining us today. And now you'll be hearing a few words from the founder of AGC, Lauren Cardelli.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It is my greatest honor to introduce Kamal Bell, founder of Sankofa Farms, LLC. Farmer, teacher, dreamer, and certified beekeeper. He will be joined by Kamoni King of Sankofa Farms as well. Sankofa Farms is a multifaceted agricultural entity that seeks to assist in changing the food intake habits of those living in and affected by food deserts. Their business ranges from farm fresh eggs to STEM programming, all rooted in agriculture. Sankofa Farms offers a sustainable food source in the rural and urban areas of Durham and Orange County, North Carolina. We are here to listen and learn. That should be the journey of every ally right now. Thank you so much for being here. And Kamal, thank you for joining us.
No problem, no problem. Thank you everybody for joining in. And first off, I would just like to say that I know that this is a really challenging and difficult time for everybody, but the only way we fix what's going on right now is if we work together. So we just want to give you all we want to be the resource if you want to support, and you're going to learn a lot about Sankofa Farms today. So I'm getting ready to turn over my screen to you all to present to you in depth about Sankofa Farms. Give me 1 second. All right, so this is a presentation that we usually give that's called The Culture of Sankofa. And we feel like that the culture is the most important aspect to building anything that's going to be sustainable. So on the front of this, you're probably wondering who this is, but that's my beautiful wife, Amber Bell. She always asks me when I'm talking about presentations, like, hey, did you talk about me, or did you say anything about me? And I put her on the front of the presentations to let everybody know and to let her know, like, this is my wife. And she really is the backbone to us being able to develop a culture at Sankofa, because outside of her just being understanding of the time of my time and where it goes, she also supports our 2 young sons, Khalil and Akeem, very much so. While we're spending long days at the farm and they're not with us, they're definitely with my wife or my parents, but she definitely is the cornerstone and the backbone to Sankofa Farms. So my upbringing is very, I think I have had a very unique upbringing. I went to North Carolina Central. It's an HBCU here in Durham. I went to their pre-K program, and there I had a really good understanding. I had a really good support system with growing up and being educated by Black people, by African-American people. And this was very important for me because I got to see very young, like, it was normal for me to look at my educators and to have people who would lead that looked like me. So it was always something that I could relate to. After this experience, I was fortunate enough to go to R.N. Harris Elementary, which is it's a Title I school here in Durham, North Carolina. But that was another very, very supportive environment where all of the teachers were had like a community focus, where they didn't let these children get far behind. They were there for you, and they could teach you a lot about life going forward. And you're probably not really understanding that too much as a elementary school student, but as time went on and I transitioned to other environments, I learned so much about just the power of having a strong Black community and what it looked like. So after R.N. Harris, I ended up going to a Catholic school here in Durham, and this is where my perspective really started to change. I went from an all-Black environment where I was nurtured to a white environment where there was an overabundance of resources. So was the first time I started to question, like, all right, well, why am I in one environment at R.N. Harris where there's so much potential and greatness in the students, and we necessarily might not have had all the resources, but then I'm in another environment where there was an overabundance of resources. So then I started to think about how that school formed their community and how I could kind of mirror that. So then when I left middle school, I went to Cardinal Gibbons, which is in Raleigh, and I saw it times 10. So I also saw how Black people were perceived in specific environments and by certain classes of people. And this really made me say, you know what? After I leave this experience, this environment, and being the minority in the environment, and saw how if the minority didn't have leverage in situations, how things could be different, how I could reintroduce myself back to my people and be able to have and embark on a mindset of being community centered. So after that, I went to one of the best universities on the face of the earth, North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. And here I was able to step into my identity. I started out there as a animal science major in animal science. And one day I was sitting in class and I was thinking, like, how can I really give back to my people? I was reading this really good book at the time. I was reading a lot of books on Black nationalism. And I was like, how can I really give back to my people? And something dawned on me, and it said, go into farming. So literally that day, I went to my advisor. And I was like, hey, I want to change my major. Animal science really isn't what I want to do. I really don't see myself giving back to my community in an impactful way through being a veterinarian. So I was like, you know what? I want to go into animal industry, learn about agriculture. He was telling me, he was like, why you want to go into my advisor? Why you want to go into agriculture? You're going to be a poor farmer. And that's the thing that I heard my whole entire time in college when I expressed to people, like, hey, I want to be a farmer. And everybody always equates farming to being poor. But that was in 2009 where I could see the potential in it. And then you fast forward into a 2020 and you can see how well farmers are doing and see how they're supporting people locally and see how much work they're doing. But this also gave me an idea to say, you know what, there's greatness. Those three environments that I was in, the preschool, the elementary, the college environments, this is what we can do if we come together and we can build for ourselves. So a lot of people ask me often, like, why do I farm? And I tell them that farming is my passion. It doesn't feel like a job. So anything that we do on the farm or anything that we do that involves a farm, we don't want it to feel like a job. The moment it starts to feel like a job to me, my perspective has changed, and it's something I probably need to transition out of. So as long as it feels like my passion and my duty to my people, that's what I'm going to continue to do. So farming brings, like, it's so interesting because it brings people together. I don't think I would be sitting in front of everybody right now if I wasn't a farmer. Farming teaches you life skills. So really something that we focus on with our youth is that we want to teach them things that on the farm and through agriculture that can propel them to the next phase of their life. And that's something that you'll hear from Kamoni later on. It's just things that he's learned and how he's been able to implement things that he learned to farm to become a better person. He has a really cool story. Farming is also service-based. The bare minimum that I can do as a Black man is give back to my people. So I see a lot of anger around the just the social issues going around today, and it's very understandable. But one thing that I did at an early age, one thing I showed to the students is that the very minimum that you should be doing is giving back to your people. That is your duty. That's what you're here to do. You're here to give back to your people, and through that, you create networks and connections to help everyone. So it starts with us giving back to our people first. So I had this great idea when I was at Lowe's Grove Middle School. I was teaching. I graduated my master's in I think 2014, and right after that, I went straight into teaching. And I was at this school where it was a rough environment, but once again, I saw the potential in the students. So I started the school garden, and students like Kamoni would come by and be like, "Mr. Bill, what's that?" Because at first, Kamoni wouldn't talk to me. I remember like the first time I tried to talk to him, I don't even think I think he just like shook his head and like looked at me. I was just like, "Why don't you talk to me?" But I did notice over time he would start to do his work. And one time his grandmother came in, she was like, "Kamoni loves the class she talks about all the time." And I would hear that from a lot of the parents at the school. So I had this idea to start a community garden because the school had a perfect setup. The school was literally a square, and it was hollow in the middle, and that's what the school garden was. So we had chickens there, and we grew plants, we had ducks, we had all types of things going on there. And the students I would see would change their behavior, they would do better in school. They would start to think about how they could generate income, how they can solve community problems. So I was like, you know what? We should take this model to the principal and ask her, could we start a summer program for these students? Because if the students are changing their mindset going through the school year, and then we just have that summer break, and then they come back and get to restart. So this will be something that can keep them on track and keep them motivated and give them leverage when they go into the next school year. And she said no, which I'm grateful for. So what ended up happening, I was also applying for the USDA program. They have a farm service agency program for beginning farmers. And this is where I really started to see the racism in the agricultural industry. So I was able to have someone help me with my application on the back end. And they actually gave me insight on how to put together a great application. So when we get this application completed, I take it in to the USA agent, and he's looking through it. And he looks in my eyes and he boldly says, "This is the best, this is the most well put together." I will never forget this guy's name and how he spoke. "This is the most well put together application that's ever come across my desk." And then he said, "I'll notify you of our decision within 3 days." So one thing I started to learn is how the system operates. It likes to stall. It likes to take your attention and divert energy in different ways. So he waited about 3 days. It was exactly 3 days. He called me. He was like, "Hey, the application is great, but we can't move forward with it. We'll have to deny you the loan." So instead of me, I was irate because I had the experience that whole time I was working on my undergraduate degree. I was working with farmers in the area. My degree is in animal industry. I also interned at A&T's farm from my junior year, working swine unit, organic vegetable unit. I just had so much experience at that time, and I had to appeal. They denied it, but luckily the USDA has a metric where they have a civil rights attorney, and they have a program, or they have a part of the process where you can appeal. So I ended up appealing the decision, and at first I wasn't going to, but there was someone within the USDA that told me, and it was probably the pillar of why I decided to go forward. They said, "You might as well go through with completing this process because you don't know who our president is going to be after this, after Obama's term is over." So I'm happy now that we went forward and appealed the process, and then we ultimately got the farm. But that was only one aspect of getting the farm. The farm actually, how the application works is they want you to get an operating loan as well. And as I started learning more about Black farmers and how we lost our land and how Black farmers got into bonds, is through this predatory lending practice where the USDA payment is due at the beginning of every year. So they didn't verify the loan until March. Anybody that's in farming knows that you're supposed to have things in the ground and your system's supposed to be running by March. We were supposed to get started by March and then owe the USDA $10,000 the following year. Like literally, so we got the farm in 2016, we owed them $10,000 in January. And I didn't spend all the money that they gave us for the loan. I only spent about $5,000 of it. We had a $3,000 real estate payment. So what we did was we ended up just giving them, like, having a $5,000 credit for the loan, I guess, in simple terms. And then we paid the rest of the real estate payment so it wouldn't be too burdensome on us. So I was looking at that and I was like, I'm starting to see now how we lose the land. So one thing that they tried to use against me with the farmers experience. So as I'm like, all this is going on around the time that I'm still teaching. So I'm thinking about all these things. Then I say, you know what? I want to make sure that if somebody else wants to go into agriculture at a young age, they won't be able to use that trick on them. So that's another reason why we started the program. So after the principal denied us the opportunity to use the school for the program, we ended up getting the farm in like that March, and the students have literally been there. Kamoni and Cameron have been there going on what, your fifth summer, fourth or fifth summer? Yeah, it's their fifth summer where they've been there from. So I've been looking at these young men since seventh grade. So I've seen them. I go through my phone sometimes and see them as like almost like little kids to being young men. So this is really the idea of what we're trying to accomplish in our program. And we've had to literally say, all right, we're not going to focus so much on the production side of the farm. The first years have been focused on these young men because you have one time anything can go wrong and you lose them for the rest of your lives. We had students who come in, things didn't go right, and they left, and I can follow them now. And the students still follow students like, I wonder how such and such is doing. They find them, and then they'll say, Mr. Bill, not doing well. So I don't want that to happen, to keep happening over and over. So we made a decision to focus on a cohort of students, and then we're now starting to get the farming operation going. So one thing that we also do cool on the farm is something called Bees in the Trap. And this is where people in the area, we actually have spaces open on Airbnb now. If anybody's watching it in the area, they can come in and we can show them how to go through and inspect a beehive. And this is something that I think is really brings joy to people, and it gives them experience they've never had. It was actually #1 experience in our area, the Raleigh-Durham area last year. And I just see this something as a revenue generator for the farm, but this is also going to provide revenue for the students where 4 out of the 5 students, well, 6 students, had a new student join yesterday, they're certified beekeepers. So this is a revenue stream that they can step into and they can also run as well. So these are just things that we're thinking about long-term where we don't want to be so dependent on one aspect of the farm. We want to be dynamic, and the students can step in if they choose to run these things to generate income for themselves as well. We also do a segment which is on YouTube called STEM in Sankofa, and this idea came about from me seeing a lack of Black people in the STEM field. There are Black people who have innovated the field and continue to do so. But we wanted to draw a bridge between the STEM area and also agriculture and show how they intertwine since we're moving into a more STEM-centered environment. So this allows us to be able to create a point of intersection. And our marketing director, Devin McAllister, he shoots the videos real good, real great. I could speak about how much of an asset he is to Sankofa. He comes down, he shoots the episodes, and then we upload them to our YouTube channel to try to engage people and engage youth in as many ways as possible. The biggest way, or the greatest thing that we think that we can do with this farm is get the youth involved. And that's something that I saw when we're talking about advancing agriculture. We have to grab our youth. And when I started to read more, I started to see that the youth, the aspect of us trying to engage our youth, that was usually disturbed or destroyed by racial tyranny, people attacking our schools and turning the plots into prisons, turning groups against our institutions so that they wouldn't see agriculture as a career path. And then the school would ultimately fail. Then we end up like there's so many different things that went in. It's like literally like a whole other conversation that creates this context of us not really having any African American farmers. So, and I have to put this slide in here because I always forget to talk about like what we actually grow on the farm. So this is just something simple that we drew up. We're now in our spring phase, transition to summer. It feels like, I think we had a 90-degree day yesterday, where we grow, like right now we're growing kale, chard, collards. We've got some sweet potato splits in. We have various varieties of lettuce. We're just trying to get our operation going, like get our a system around our operation right now. And in the summer, this is like something simple. Like in the summer, do honeys, watermelon, squashy, and okra. These are just things that we're putting a structure to around Sankofa. This is our students, just to show like how they've grown. This is us on the, it'll be you all's maybe right with us in the bees. If you were catching a swarm, it was actually at the Durham County Beekeepers Association's Duke Campus Farm. So we all got certified through Durham County Beekeepers Association. They've been a great asset. Stan and Matthew have really helped give our students insight into beekeeping. Also on the right with Kamoni and Cameron here. And Cameron's actually the reason we got bees. He told me 3 years ago that he wanted to get bees, and I was terrified. I was like, well, will that help keep you engaged and keep you here at Sankofa? And he told me it would. So we ended up getting bees. So if you ever see bees when you see bees on the farm, thank Cameron. But Bear Crop Science has been a very big supporter of our beekeeping operation as well. And they brought us to Washington, D.C. last September to speak with Mark Young of the Climate Change Corporation about our beekeeping practice and how we've helped it, how we've expanded it. This was one of those surreal moments. We're actually just talking about the Atlantic Fest earlier today. It's one of those surreal moments where we're just like, the students are getting it. Like seeing them on stage and the poise they had, like it was so cool. It was like everything that we were working on culminating to this one event where we really got to see them defy the odds, step into the role as being innovators, step into the role as being change agents in their community. Because if you really talk to them in depth about what other students are doing in their communities, they'll tell you that it's a whole different perspective from what you just see. You just see them here in suits, or you might see them on the farm, but their day-to-day life is something that they're going to be able to tell one day to motivate people who have that similar experience. This is just a picture of our farm. This is at the very beginning. I like to keep this here because it's very humbling. Our tunnels don't look anything like that now. They're like booming full of food. But this is just a reminder of just the humility within agriculture and where we've come from. We're still learning. We're still solidifying our process. But this is just a picture that it's just like, all right, y'all, like this is our first time that we've actually been able to put a system to like begin a system. And we've also, like we just got a well last year. So we're still working through the agricultural production aspect of, we're still learning that side. I mean, this is something that we do at the farm. It's a produce pickup where people can order from us online and we'll meet them in the parking lot at North Carolina Central where, ironically, I went to preschool. It's just like a full circle moment. And people can order online or sign up through our CSA. We'll meet them here to get them produce. And this is actually something we started before the whole COVID thing started. So we've just been able to expand the model, which has worked very well for us. And this is just a picture of one of the customers, Samario, who supports. He's a real loyal customer, and we appreciate that energy whenever we get a person that consistently supports, or just supports one time, like we really value that. And this is something else that I do. I speak to kids of all different backgrounds. Because people always ask me what demographic I speak to. I speak to anybody who wants to learn. So if anybody wants me to speak to their class, we can schedule that, and I'll come talk to the kids. Kids really like to learn about the bees, so that's something I usually end up talking a lot about. And here's another aspect of the farm where Kamoni and Kamon can generate revenue for themselves, the speaking engagements. This was at the North Carolina History Museum earlier in the year, where they were actually like they're paid speakers. Like I wouldn't imagine like 5 years ago looking at them and saying, you know what, you're going to be a paid speaker. Like it's just surreal that they have that opportunity at this age now. And this is a picture from the TEDx talk that I did on February 21st. And it was actually called Embodying Sankofa, where we spoke about how we spoke about the systemic racism within agriculture, but we also bridged that into the work of Sankofa Farms and how this is now our expression of developing a new reality. Like no more will we accept the racial the stigmas that we're getting. We're just gonna let all that stuff go, and we're gonna move into developing our own system where we see us doing that thing, and that thing could be working with the youth, beekeeping, growing food, motivating us, like Sankofa being a healing space. We're gonna do all those things, and it's our declaration into moving forward to helping our people into changing things. Like we have to solve this racial inequality. It's something where everybody has a role in, whether it's you speaking up about it, whether you joining this podcast episode, or this broadcast, whether it's you donating. Like we can solve all of those things not right now, but we can lay the foundation. It's been here since America's inception. So this is our declaration to say, you know what, we're going to rise up and we're going to do for our people. This is what our talk was about. And our next steps for Sankofa, we're actually in the summer. We want to expand our agricultural academy. We definitely want to scale up Bees in the Trap, whether that's virtually or it's in person. We're going to see how the whole COVID situation plays out. I think we're going to have a lot of interesting opportunities there. We definitely want to create more revenue streams with getting our produce out, because the revenue allows us to do more with the farm and with the students. We would definitely want to incorporate more technology into Sankofa. So I'm just thinking about it where the students come in, whether you're interested in agriculture or not, you're going to get a skill. And after you leave Sankofa, you're going to be equipped to help your people. So it's interesting because the talks that are going on now, we have those separately with our youth. So when everything happened, there wasn't like a distress amongst us. It's because we have a space where we can talk about these issues, and the students are actively doing the work. So when people want to try to like pull us into certain things or pull our energy into certain places, it's really our energy goes into developing Sankofa, and that's the thing that gives us our sense of doing our part. Not saying we don't do or participate in other people's programs, but this is how we redirect our energy, that anger, the frustration, the sadness, all those different things. We put it into Sankofa to try to be beacons of light for our people. And we also want to create more distribution channels within the community. Right now, we're working with communities in partnership. There are a Women of Color co-op that's here in Durham, and they work on getting food to vulnerable populations in Durham, especially East Durham. So if you go to our Instagram, we got collard greens to them yesterday. So like these are the partnerships that we're really trying to establish to make sure that we're getting food to people who don't have access to it. And then sometimes we take the food home ourselves. Whenever a student's like, hey, can I take this? Or take it, like they're gonna get honey when we have it. So those are things that we're really trying to build up within Sankofa to strengthen our footprint, because it's really hard for the farmer to produce the food and also get it to the specific. There's a structure around everything, and we're developing that structure. But right now, we're really relying on community partnerships to fulfill that aspect of our mission. And if you would like to follow our story, there are links that be in the Q&A aspect of the Zoom. But here's also like a quick, you can like screenshot it, but you'll see it here. you can follow us as well and follow the journey of Sankofa. That's really something that we're really proud of, is the fact that we really enjoy the fact that we can put out content information to make you all feel a part of what we're doing. And that's the whole sense of community, whether you're here in the Durham area or if you're out in Nebraska or Ontario. We really want to give you the sense that you are a part of this in some form or fashion. That's really real community mindset. That's really what community is to us. So now I'm gonna turn my screen back to us. Hope everyone can still see us. And I'm going to, me and Kamoni, Kamoni's gonna answer some questions for you all. I hope everyone can see. I can't see you all, so I hope everyone can see us now. But I'm gonna ask Kamoni some questions, and he's gonna give you some insight into what Sankofa has, or what Sankofa is to him. So I'm gonna turn a little bit. Kamoni, my first question for you is, what made you want to be involved or a part of the farm?
You made me want to be involved in Mr. Bell made me want to be involved in a part of the farm. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. It was something that I tried it out with something new, and I grew into liking coming to a farm. It was really, Mr. Bell played a big part into me wanting to be in the farm and wanting to stay and not wanting to branch off.
All right, so with that in mind, what are some of the things that you've learned by being at Sankofa that helped you in your personal life?
Being at Sankofa, I realized about the second year when we was doing this bigger than myself, and that I could really change stuff in the Black community, like from generation to generation, just of how Black people got a different outlook on different things, or being able to just do something by yourself and knowing you did that and you take 100% responsibility for what you did or what you produced.
All right. And my last question is, where would you like to see, or where do you see Sankofa going? Like, say in 10 years, where you're giving one of these presentations and I'm sitting on the other end watching. What do you think? What are some of the things you would think you'll be saying to people about Sankofa and where it is at that moment?
I think saying Sankofa it could be like real big. Like I said, I knew it was bigger than me coming into it, and I know like when we start getting like recognition and people start seeing it globally, I think that's when I know that this is what I was waiting for in the beginning. We can really help people. When we start seeing that we help people, that's when.
And is there anything else that you would like to tell people, or anything, like any last comment or anything at all you want to tell the lovely 70 people who've joined us today?
I would say that Sankofa Farms it was a great experience, especially for me. Living in Fort Washington, Maryland, it's not really as many farms down in North Carolina. I mean, in Maryland as much as it is in North Carolina. And I came to North Carolina thinking that I'm about to be around a bunch of like country people and it's going to be slow compared to the city. And I kind of grew into like liking a farm because like at first, Mr. Bill, he said I didn't talk to him in his class, so didn't really interact as much. And then I started doing the little things that he had in the courtyard, like working with the ducks and chickens, and it made me like appreciate it more, especially like where the food come from versus me going to McDonald's and I know it's gonna taste good, but I don't. I know it's not good for me, but I know it tastes good. And versus you growing some collard greens, you take it home, you cook it fresh. You know it's going to do some good to you. It's the right thing to do. Eat healthy.
Thank you, Kamoni, for sharing. I think the untapped aspect of Sankofa is like their stories. I think as it grows, we definitely want to provide the platform for them to tell their stories, because I'm not from the environment that Kamoni grew up in, or Cameron grew up in, or some of the other students. They have completely different perspectives. And I think there's just so much power in hearing their perspectives and what their stories can do for more students, or for the younger generation who might be more aligned to their experience. So I've had like a lot of privilege in the sense of like I was able to go to Catholic school, and like that was like part of my path, which everything has its pros and its cons, but they have a different perspective where they can really relate to a demographic, lifestyle wise, that I couldn't. I think it's very powerful. And once they have that platform to share that story, when they feel comfortable telling it, like one thing we don't do, we don't make our students do anything. Like we get to the farm, it's like, hey, like y'all want to work today? Like we supposed to do this today? If somebody just like, hey, I'm trying to like, I'm not feeling it today. I just want to be out here to have like, it's not based on you have to work. It's just based on like the farm is a healing space. So the bees are healing. They provide healing for me. Like when everything kicks off societally, I go literally work in the beehives, and I make sure I check as many of them as I can. So it serves as different. Everybody has a different role within Sankofa, and I think that's the beauty of what makes Sankofa work. And like outside of you all who are our support, like this is all these moving pieces, and it's organic. That's what makes Sankofa work. So I just want to thank you all for listening in to us, and we're moving into our Q&A part of the broadcast. So I think we'll begin to start fielding questions from you all. All right. So
hi, everyone. I'm just gathering the questions here, and they will be up in just a moment. And Kamal, the questions are up if you want to read them out loud for those of us joining on phone, and then answer the question. Thank you.
All right, so the first question is, can you talk more about the name Sankofa and share more about the path of learning about your ancestry?
Sankofa means to remember your African heritage as you move forward in life. I remember that because like our first time coming to the farm, he told us, like we would be asked what would Sankofa mean every day until we knew what it meant. And basically what it mean to me, learning about your African ancestry is like remembering your roots, where you came from, how your people in Africa or wherever you from, what they was doing. And that's basically how we do the farm, right? We grow a lot of different African products. We had an African bird at one time, the guinea fowl, and it's just staying connected to your roots.
So the name Sankofa is actually interesting. At first, the farm's name was Unity Farms, and we started out as a dehydrated fruit company. And the whole idea behind the dehydrated fruit was to put the healthy products in a form that was familiar to a demographic, that, like just putting like in a familiar form. And what happened was we had the name registered for Guilford County, but when I looked it up online, the name wasn't registered in North Carolina, so I learned a very valuable business lesson to go to the Secretary of State. And I didn't know you can register something locally but not statewide. I thought it was one and the same. So then I was listening to a lecture by Amos Wilson, and he's a very famous Black psychologist, and he talked about how Black people need to develop institutions for themselves and how we need to use our ancestry to do that. So when I was taking classes at A&T, I heard of it's a movie called Sankofa. I had an African History up to 1800 class, and I loved the movie and loved what the term stood for. And I was talking to Devin one day after I told him about the name change. I was like, you know what? I think we should name the farm Sankofa. And he was like, he's like, hey, let's try it. So we changed the name to Sankofa, and it's literally been what we've embodied, like this whole process. Like a lot of, like Kamoni said, a lot of the practices we have on the farm, we want to do crops that have a lineage or have history back in Africa. And we're gonna expound upon that more as we solidify our operation. That's how we do cowpeas, we do pearl millet, honeybees. You trace back the oldest practice of keeping bees back to ancient Kemet. And it's all documented, by the way, so it's not just me like trying to make a connection somewhere. It's actually in the hieroglyphics. So these are things that we want to make sure we keep a very close connection to. That's ultimately what I believe is going to help the Black community, is when we realize and make a connection back to our African ancestry. All right, so we go on to the next question. I'll answer your question, by the way. Can you talk about your experience dealing with the USDA and offer advice to those who go through the process? Whoa, that's a great question. The USDA has a history, a negative history with African Americans in agriculture. But it's not just them. There are other lending services that offer predatory loans. Like I was reading a story where there was a Black farmer, I believe in Mississippi, and this story can be generic. It's like, it can be anywhere. He went in to get a truck, and they made him put his farm up as collateral for his truck. He missed one payment and they took his land. So those are the type of lending practices that go on. The USDA is so large that if they did, like, you can trace a lot, you can kind of, not trace, but you can kind of, well, you can trace back. You can trace a lot of back to their predatory practices, back to them. So they are trying to get better. I will say that, because there are a lot of agents and a lot of people in leadership who I have been able to form very good bonds with. And I appreciate the relationships with them so much. They're great. But overall, structurally, the USDA has really helped accelerate Black people losing land. So the issue with us, they wanted to say I didn't have enough experience, and they started to give me the runaround. Remember how I talked about earlier, like to buy time? One thing they did was I would call one agent, he had an assistant, and then he would say, oh, okay, my agent over here has information. I'll call her, she's like, well, such and such never gave me that information. So I'll call him back, he'll pick up the phone. And then I'll get in contact with him 3 days later, 4 days later. He wouldn't work on Fridays, so he would start this around Tuesday, so I think it'll be the following week. And then he would say, oh, my district director has that information. I'll get in contact with her. She was like, no, such and such. It even got to a point where on the day of the closing for the farm, they forgot the check for the closing. I don't know how that happened. So we had to move the closing. Like, the closing had to be done by 5 o'clock. And they called me at 4 o'clock. Like, I don't have the check. Like, it's stuff like that that goes on within that structure where I could have, any point that I would have been like, show anger or said, forget this, I'm not doing this anymore. That's when they would have, oh, well, we don't like how this happened. So I kept my cool. It even happened where when I had my appeal meeting, I actually, the same day I had my appeal with the USDA, I also had an interview for my job at Lowe's Grove, the first school I taught at. I called the USDA and said, hey, can we move the meeting up an hour, I believe, so I can make it to I have a job interview the same day. And I called that agent at 12 o'clock that evening. But something told me, the evening before the appeal meeting, something told me to get there early. So I ended up following my gut, and I got there at the rescheduled time, but he never called me back to verify that we had moved the meeting. And when I walked into the office, the meeting was getting ready to start. So I'm happy that I had an idea, because of my experiences in school, of how racism works. So I was able to take those past experiences and be like, hey, this happened when a student uses the N-word and I get suspended for a certain amount of time, but he doesn't. And so I realized that things work based on how the system, like who's pulling the strings in the system. So the advice I would give you is to try to find someone that can give you insight on whatever program the USDA has, and then to go forward with that. Do not go in there blind, because you will have a tough time. Like, I was reading an article, it was the New Food Economy. That was their old name, but they changed their name since from the New Food Economy. They wrote an article where someone high on USDA, or one of the senators, was dealing with the Pickford versus Glickman case, the second one, where they said, I don't believe racism exists. Like, somebody said that. I wish I had the article in front of me, but don't go in there blind, because it will be very, not saying you won't be able to get your desired end result, but it's going to be very difficult to go in there. So try to go in there with a little foresight, or someone to help you in the back end. I hope that was good. Good enough answer.
To you. How do you want to use this knowledge to expand your future, your life, and career? I want to use Sankofa to be able to put me in a position where I can do different things. Like, I'm interested in genetics, and Sankofa, it put me in a position where I can go and show that I got experience working with like animals and plants, and like on the farm for 4 years about, and I think that'll be real helpful. And also being able to tell people in my family or friends and stuff that they should be interested in the land, because in the long run, land is wealth in my eyes. I say that. I answer the question right.
Aside from donating money, how can the community help you achieve your goals? I would say by spreading awareness from Sankofa, by connecting us to other resources, other farmers, by also a lot of what we're experiencing now is infrastructure. So getting into farming, like the fight was getting the land. That was the first fight. Then the second one becomes getting resources, because you look at farms all around, and especially like Instagram would be a great place for it. Excuse me. The Instagram is a great example of where you can see other people's farms. And I'm looking at people like, oh, I've been in farming 4 years, where I'm just like, damn, you've been in 4 years, so we just got a well. So I started looking, asking myself how people build up these farms so quick. So the infrastructure aspect of it is us to grants, because that's what other farmers are doing on the back end. And we have had some, like we do, like NC State has been very supportive. The Farm Bureau, we got an Ag in the Classroom grant for them at the very beginning of this all. Who else? Rafi, Rural Advancement Foundation International, has been very helpful. Community Fruit Guys in California. So we've been able to get things rolling with that funding to get grants to build infrastructure, but just connecting us to more resources so we're able to continue to expand the farm. I'm trying to help my daughter grow food. Do things taste better when you grow them yourself or watch them grow?
It don't. I wouldn't say it probably do taste better in the long run, what it do to your body. But when I got to the farm, it was trash and piles everywhere. It was shotgun shells. And I'm basically like, this ain't, you said we going to a farm. When I'm picturing a farm on TV, I'm thinking it's all green lands, 50 acres, nothing but grass. But we got there and it's trash. And I'm like, what in the world? We finna be working hard. And probably about 2-3 years down the line, once we start getting stuff, we got the greenhouses, we got the well, like you mentioned. And you're gonna appreciate it more, because that's something that you produce versus you going to the store and buying it. You're not gonna care about it as much. But I appreciated it more, because it's something that I did, and it's like something that I stuck to, because for the farm and for us to see a change, it probably took about 1 year or 2 years. And that was like one of the first things I could say other than school that I actually stuck with, and I seen it change, and it made me happy or appreciate it more.
How can fellow NC farmers and landowners best join you in this important work you're doing? That's a great question. As we stated before, like commitments to resources, like literally, like I'm a millennial, so my phone is near me all the time. If you see like a greenhouse for sale, if you see like anything that you think can help Sankofa, I'm not a person who's gonna be like, I don't know who this is. Like, if you see a resource you think can help us, you don't have to like be timid to feel like you're pushing it on us. We'll welcome to the information. So if you see anything that you feel like can help, if you have experience in farming and you wanna come out and say, hey, look, I think based on what you all have here, this can do A, B, and C. So like those are the type of things that go a long way for us, because we've only been farming for 4 years. So at no point will we pretend to feel like we have this thing figured out. The farming is humbling. Our lives are very humbling. So we don't know. I'll take it as we don't know anything. Is Sankofa able or planning to grow to distribute products to places outside North Carolina? Yes, we are. Our bees are finishing up. I think the honey flow goes off in this area around the end of June. So we're gonna have bottles of honey that we can distribute outside of North Carolina. And as there are other things that we want to do, but really this year is like our year of infrastructure, like really building up. And next year, if things keep going at this rate, we're gonna have a lot to share and distribute to you all. Do your friends and family understand what you all are doing? How do you share that out in the Black community? My family, like my immediate family, is very supportive of the farm. My friends are. I have people so for every person I can say around me that is supportive, I probably have like 9 or 10 who aren't. So, but it's just that core group of people and family members who really support the farm. But I don't know if people quite outside of us know exactly. I think you all have a better idea because you're seeing it in real time. Like you're talking with us now, we're engaging. I don't know if a certain part of the Black community understands exactly what the work is. And that's fine, because we're going to keep doing it, and eventually they'll join on, I feel like. And how do we share out the information? The ways that we do now is through our content, sharing the content. That's the best way. And just letting people know that we see in conversations, like, hey, we're working a farm. We try to meet people as we know about, let them know about what we're doing at the farm. How has your education shaped how has your own education shaped what and how you teach? It's a very good question. My dad has a library on Black books. That's it's a very good collection of books. And I dabbled growing up, and still I get books and read them. And it made me think about what Black people need. I think a lot of what we've had that has been successful has happened in the past. And Sankofa mindset, we have to get back to those models. Instead of us trying to reinvent the wheel, that's why we're in agriculture. I read a lot about Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, Booker T. Watley. A lot of schools that we've had that were based in agriculture. That has helped me say, you know what, we can do it again. And that's part of our ultimate end goal, is to have an African-centered approach to what we're doing. Kamal, thank you for this beautiful conversation. How can fellow NC farmers and landowners best join you in the support work you're doing? I think maybe a repeat, but just sharing resources with us. That's fine. That's fine. In what ways can we help if we are far away from your local community? We'll share out the link. It's a PayPal link. That's the best way, and also information. What organizations are advocating for food justice that you feel are doing the good work? That's a very good question. Earthseed Cooperative here in Durham is doing very great work. Faithful Farms in Chapel Hill is doing some good work, doing great work. Who else? Tallgrass Food Box, Soulfire Farm, Detroit Farm and Food Network, Golden Organic Farm. It's in Edgecombe County. Let me forget. Rafi Rural Advancement Foundation International. The Community Fruit Guys is doing great work. Monica White is doing great work. Adrian Miller, we actually have an interview with him on our YouTube channel. He's doing some great work on the history of soul food. I don't want to leave anybody out. If I leave anybody out, Habesha Farm in Atlanta is doing great work. Jomo Works is doing some great work. We're actually on a grant with them right now. Jomo Works down in Florida is doing some great work right now. Who else? Off Grid and Color. Chantel, she's doing some really good work. She's in North Carolina as well. And who else? If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that's it, right? How can we reflect the meaning of Sankofa in society today? So that's a very good question. It's introspective. I think we can best reflect the meaning of Sankofa by looking at ourselves and asking ourselves, like, are we really doing what we can to help other people? So I think also that's another meaning of Sankofa. Like, if you go back and you know the shortcomings of the past, it better helps you do more in the present moment. So we look at ourselves and look at how we view the world and our role in it. It'll better help us in our time and help us fulfill and do positive and meaningful work today. If Sankofa is invited to come and help youth programs in England or Africa, yes, we will go. So if we can make that happen, we will get on the plane, be the Sankofa. We'll probably do some fundraising and look for some outside funding. But you want to go to Africa and England?
I'll go to Africa and England.
Well, I'll go to England. The Sankofa wants to go to Africa. We'll go help. Oh man.
Thank you guys so much for this wonderful opportunity to be here, hear your story. I want to say that I want to encourage everybody here, everybody who's going to listen to the recording, to go to PayPal and make a contribution. That's incredibly important. There's a lot of ways we can help, but money talks. And let's get resources and support to the communities. Growing Culture will be making a contribution when we'll be exploring more and more ways to work with this amazing group. And it's such an honor to be able to have you guys here, share with us, to learn and grow together. I want to, real quick, before we clean up with some sharing of the series and final statements, I want to allow you guys both to take the time to share any kind of final words with the community and really just emphasize how much we appreciate you both taking the time to be here with us today.
I would say thank you all for joining, and as long as blood is flowing through my veins, we're going to do the work. So we don't like, I kind of look at it as we're going to do what we can, like, no matter what. We literally have a 15 passenger van. We go all around Durham to pick up our students. So we're committed to do the work, and we're going to keep doing it no matter what, whether we have opportunities to share, whether my Instagram has 6,000 followers or it has 1 follower. Like, the community needs us, and we're gonna be there any way we can.
All right. Kamoni, do you have anything to share?
I'm blessed to be here today, being in a position with Mr. Bell to be able to help other Black people and teach others the meaning of Sankofa. I think it's important that we are doing what we are doing, especially in today's world with everything going around in the world. I think that if we keep doing what we doing, people will finally realize that everything it's not how it seems for everybody in the world, and it's some changes that need to be made so people can have equal opportunities in the world and do things to help your people and other people, just help people, a lot of different people, and bring people together.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to say this out for people that are listening and not watching. Support Sankofa Farms. Go to paypal.me, Sankofa Farms LLC. Make a contribution, support Stand Up, share that, and get your community to also make that contribution. It's so important for us to stand together. A lot of times people look at what's needed to fix the food system. What's needed already exists, and it's a mirror. A lot of us have to use that to look in ourselves and understand that if we don't hunger, we benefit from the injustice that makes others hunger. And so together we can hunger for justice and really shape a food system that's not only sustainable, but socially just as well. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Kamal, Kamoni, I really appreciate it. Please share the series. Yes. Please share the series, everybody. Join our community dialogues on Monday. Make sure you know that the screen will be on when you join it. You'll see your face and we can come together and talk. It's gonna be a different format and we want you all to be there, asking questions, looking inward, right? We all need to do that right now. We need to show up. That's at Monday at 12 p.m. If you're on the mailing list for the series, you'll get the links. Go to growingculture.org/HFJ. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kamal, Mani. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Have a great day, everybody.
All right.
It's Sankofa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm keeping this open for just a few more minutes while everyone leaves. I'm going to be downloading the chat and Q&A, and this recording will be live on YouTube at the end of the day. So please share with your community. If you have any last comments or questions to put in the Q&A and chat, go ahead. I'll keep this open, and we will go from there. So thank you so much.